sky was burning. A colossal red dragon tore through the clouds, its wings blotting out the sun as torrents of flame rained down upon the battlefield below. Cities crumbled, towers melted. The screams of humanity echoed beneath the monster's roar. This was the world's reality, and humanity had only two ways to resist them: magic or the sword. On the ground, dozens of mages stood in formation, robes fluttering violently as mana surged through the air. Arcane circles ignited one after another. Release! Blades of compressed mana screamed skyward, tearing through the heavens and slamming into the dragon's scales. The impact shook the air, explosions of light bursting across the creature's body. The dragon roared, but it did not fall. Its scales shimmered, unbroken. The mages' faces drained of color. Our strongest spell did nothing. A swordsman stepped forward, muscles coiled. The sword shattered, the warrior froze, disbelief flooding his eyes. Flames gathered in the dragon's maw. Despair swallowed the battlefield. Then the pressure changed. A single man walked forward, no robe, no staff, only a sword at his waist. The air bent around him. The dragon's pupils shrank. The man stepped, then vanished. In the reflection of the dragon's eye, a lone swordsman appeared, blade already drawn. One strike, the world fell silent. The dragon's massive body collapsed, its shadow swallowing the battlefield as blood rained from the sky. Everyone stared, speechless. That man was Oscar, Sword Saint, the strongest swordsman in history. Cheers erupted. Tears flowed. People knelt. Oscar did not turn back. "Handle the rest," he said flatly, walking away as if he had done nothing worth remembering. Behind him, children stared with awe, just as he once had. Oscar paused briefly when he saw a street magician form a tiny orb of light in his palm. The child before him gasped in wonder. Oscar's chest tightened. Magic, beautiful. It always had been. Later, in the mountains, Oscar trained. His wooden sword split the air again and again, each swing carving the ground deeper until a crater formed beneath his feet. Two apprentices watched from afar. "He trains every day," one whispered. "That ground used to be flat," the other replied. Oscar didn't notice them. He never did. A letter arrived from the imperial capital, another medal, another title. He didn't care, then laughed softly. "You really don't care at all, do you?" "No." She stiffened. "Huh?" "I don't particularly like the sword." Her smile faded. "I chose this path because my father forced me to," he continued. "He was a sword master. To him, my life was decided the moment I could stand." The words landed heavily. "You didn't choose it?" she whispered. Oscar nodded once. "I followed the sword because I had no choice." Silence stretched. Then she lowered her gaze and smiled bitterly. "That's funny. I envy you," she admitted. "You have talent. Real, undeniable talent." She clenched her hands. "I joined the academy because I wanted to," she said. "But sometimes I wonder if I made the wrong choice. What if I don't have what it takes? Sometimes I think I should have become a mage instead." Mages and swordsmen walk separate paths for a reason. Their bodies contained circuits, internal channels that shaped how power flowed. Sword, aura, and mana were opposites. To force the wrong power through a circuit wasn't just difficult, it was fatal. The body collapsed, the mind shattered. Choosing a path didn't just define training, it defined a life. Oscar placed a hand on her shoulder. "Don't waste time worrying," he said. "Use it to train. That's how I grew stronger." She looked up at him, startled. Then her eyes burned with renewed resolve. "Yes," she said brightly. "I'll do my best." That night, sleep refused to come. Oscar lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The room silent, except for his breathing. "Use your time to train." He let out a quiet laugh. "I'm not exactly qualified to give that advice," he muttered. Her words echoed again. "You have talent?" Slowly, he raised his hand, turning it over in the dim light. Calloused, scarred, shaped by steel. What kind of talent would I have had, he wondered, if I'd chosen magic? Then, his eyes snapped open. Something was wrong. The air itself felt distorted. A massive explosion tore through the night, shattering the silence. From a distant ridge, shadows, none of them spoke, none of them flinched. He smiled. Prepare. One of the mages shifted uneasily. Did we get him? Another scoffed. Don't be stupid. Someone like that doesn't die so easily. The ground trembled. Then, a silhouette burst through the inferno. Oscar leapt from the flames, landing lightly on scorched earth, not a single burn marring his body. So he muttered, surveying the figures ahead of him. Mages. The air was thick with mana, dense, refined, dangerous. Skilled ones. At an unspoken command, the hooded mages raised their staffs in unison. Circuits flared. Spells ignited. Oscar moved. Blades of condensed energy screamed through the night, slicing past where his head had been a heartbeat earlier. He twisted, ducked, stepped between death with impossible precision. Closing the distance, he targeted the nearest mage. But a presence flickered beside him. Oscar's blood turned cold. Oscar stopped. His apprentice, gagged, shaking, tears streaking down her face as she struggled uselessly in the mage's grip. Surrender, the leader said pleasantly, or she dies. Oscar's grip tightened on his sword. What do you want? He demanded. My money? My position? The mage laughed. Your life? Oscar frowned. I don't remember earning that much hatred. The leader lifted a glowing pendant. We cannot forgive the existence of someone like you. What are you talking about? You don't need to understand, the mage replied coldly. You're going to die here. Oscar lowered his sword slightly. The apprentice shook her head violently. Don't worry about me. I'm a swordsman too. I'm ready. The words struck deeper than any blade. Something ignited behind Oscar's eyes. He smiled. A real smile. That's right. You are. The leader stiffened. You made a mistake, Oscar continued, raising his sword. You underestimated my disciple. The leader raised his staff. Kill him. The sky darkened. Dozens of ice spears formed above, spinning violently before raining down in a merciless storm. The leader watched, confident. Victory was assured. Then, what? His smirk vanished. The henchman holding the girl gasped as a sword burst through his chest. The apprentice fell free. Ice tore into Oscar's back, shoulders, legs, piercing flesh, shattering bone. He didn't scream. He stood. You're insane. With the objective complete, the leader stepped back. We've confirmed it, he said quietly. Farewell. As his form dissolved into mana, his final words echoed. You are blessed with magic. The apprentice ran to Oscar, catching him as he collapsed. Why? Why would you do that? Oscar smiled weakly. Because, he whispered, you're a warrior too. Tears streamed down his face. I was ready, he admitted. I accepted it. She shook her head violently. This is my fault. No, Oscar said softly. Never that. Her sobs continued. His vision dimmed. If I were a mage, the thought surfaced unbidden. I could have saved us both. Breathing grew shallow. His consciousness faded. I always wanted magic, he confessed silently. The sword was just a distraction. Honor, medals, praise. None of it compared to the awe he'd felt as a child watching mana bend reality. Then, light. Warm. Inviting. Oscar opened his eyes. Green canopies. Birdsong. A familiar forest. What? He sat up sharply, heart pounding. I should be dead. The world felt real. Too real. Looking around, confusion swallowed him whole as he tried to understand. Birds chirped. Wind brushed his face. He was alive. Too young. He stood atop a familiar hill overlooking a small town he hadn't seen in decades. His hometown, his first time's life. At his feet lay a wooden sword, beside it 2 letters. Academy of the Sword, Academy of Magic. His hands trembled. I went back, he whispered. A shadow fell over him. Oscar, what are you doing? He turned. His father stood there alive, stern, powerful, the swordmaster. Oscar swallowed. Memories flooding back, he remembered this day. He had been hesitating. Back then, he had been wondering whether he should finally speak the truth. He remembered running to his father as a child, eyes shining after seeing magic used in the streetlight, dancing through the air, reality bending like a dream. Magic is beautiful, he had said. His father's response had been fury. Magic is for the weak, the man had shouted. Those who can't face the blade. From that day on, the order was absolute. Swing the sword. only the sword. Oscar had obeyed not because he agreed, but because he was afraid. Afraid of being abandoned, afraid of losing the only place he belonged. But he never forgot. And now, he raised his head. His eyes burned with determination unlike anything his father had ever seen. I've had enough of that ending, Oscar thought. I won't live it again. The swordmaster frowned. Why are you neglecting your training? Oscar met his gaze. I faced the sword, he said calmly, for an entire lifetime. Silence. The words struck harder than steel. His father's eyes widened, shock freezing his expression. Then power erupted. Golden aura exploded outward, manifesting as dozens of spectral blades spinning violently through the air. The pressure was overwhelming. One apprentice was sent flying. Another slammed into the ground. Yet Oscar didn't move. He stood calmly at the center of the storm, unmoved, unshaken. Why is only the master's son unaffected? Disbelief. Oscar's composure wasn't talent. It was experience. A lifetime of blood and death had forged his mind into something immovable. His father stared at him, admiration and confusion mixing in his gaze. The aura vanished. Seems you weren't just fooling around, the swordmaster muttered. With pride, his father said, at this rate, one day I might entrust the guild to you. Envy twisted the faces of the other apprentices. Unaware of his son's true intent, the swordmaster turned away. Oscar watched him go. Goodbye, he whispered. Hands suddenly grabbed him from behind. Strong, malicious. The apprentices grinned. We were waiting for the academy break, one sneered. Thought we'd train you. Oscar remembered them. Once friends, then tormentors after awakening their chi, training had become punishment. One step forward, coating his wooden sword in glowing chi. Let's see what you've got. Oscar turned his back and walked toward the lake. Huh? He smiled softly. Thank you for everything. Then, splash. The wooden sword sank beneath the water. Gasps followed. You coward! Someone shouted. Running away? Furious, the bully charged. Oscar didn't move. I won't use the sword anymore, he said calmly. I'm becoming a mage. The attack came anyway. Oscar watched closely. Chi boosted strength and speed, but not understanding. The strike missed by meters. He sighed. You're not treating the sword as part of your body. Enraged, the apprentice attacked again. Oscar dodged effortlessly. Memories guided him, training his own disciple in another life. Desperation filled the boy's face. Why can't I hit you? Oscar stepped in. Bare hands. One clean strike. The apprentice hit the ground, sword flying. Oscar looked down, not with anger, but instruction. Why would you discard the advantage of a weapon against an unarmed opponent? No answer came. Oscar turned and walked away. That lesson should be enough. In his past life, his father had forced him to awaken chi too early. This time, magic comes first. He entered the forest, searching for isolation. Sweat ran down his face as nerves crept in. Finally, a hidden clearing. Safe, quiet. He sat on a rock and closed his eyes. A memory surfaced. A mage in a pointed hat. A garden bathed in sunlight. Magic explained not as force, but as flow. Magic is like a watering can, she had said gently. Energy filled the world, invisible but everywhere. Spells weren't created, they were poured. Oscar inhaled slowly and began to concentrate. For the first time, he saw it. Threads of light. Endless. Beautiful. His heart raced. So this was it. But pulling it inside, that was another matter. The air felt wrong. Oscar slowed his steps, every instinct screaming at him to stop. The forest around him was unnaturally quiet. No birds, no insects, not even the sound of wind brushing the leaves. This place is unnatural. A faint pressure pulsed against his senses. Subtle but unmistakable. Click. Oscar froze. Too late. A magic circle ignited beneath his feet. The ground exploded. A stone golem rose from the earth. And then, she descended like a falling star. Red hair, crimson eyes, mana so dense it distorted the air. Explain, the woman demanded coldly. Why you're trespassing in my workshop? Oscar froze. Isabel, the mage of life creation, one of the most dangerous people in the kingdom. Moments later, he was chained, threatened, nearly executed. Which faction sent you? She demanded. Answer immediately. If you hesitate, she continued calmly, I'll erase you. Oscar's pulse hammered wildly. Wait, I'm not your enemy! Then you're either a liar or a fool who wants to die. A crimson magic circle ignited beneath Oscar's feet. Mana surged. The mage lifted her staff slightly. Farewell, nameless mage. Oscar's heart slammed against his ribs. Wait, I'm not even a mage yet. The words echoed through the chamber. For the first time since their encounter began, the woman froze. Her eyes widened. What? The magic circle flickered. She stared at him for several long seconds before scoffing. How pathetic. Still, she stepped forward. Curiosity overcame irritation. Placing her fingers against his forehead, she released a thin thread of mana into his body. Her expression changed instantly. What? There was nothing. No mana circulation, no activation, no resonance. His circuits were empty, completely. Sometime later, Oscar found himself seated at a table. A cup of steaming liquid was placed in front of him. The mage sat across from him, arms crossed. I understand now, she said. But don't misunderstand, don't expect an apology. Annoyance clear in her tone. I've barely started working as a professor at the academy, and people already despise me. I don't have the patience for misunderstandings. Oscar blinked. Professor? She glanced at him. Yes, the Magic Academy. I thought this place would be convenient for golem research. His breath caught the Magic Academy. This was his chance. Oscar straightened. She took a sip from her own cup, eyes burning with resolve. Please, he said, bowing his head, teach me how to draw mana into my body. She didn't hesitate. No, the refusal was instant. I have no interest in weak, incompetent men, Isabel said bluntly. Drink your tea and go home. Oscar clenched his fists. He remembered ice spears piercing his body, the sound of his apprentice crying, the regret he carried into death. I won't give up again. I'm serious, he said quietly. Isabel ignored him, gesturing toward a nearby golem. Refill my cup. Oscar's gaze sharpened. He could see it. Mana flowed through the golem's internal circuits like faint streams of light, and something was wrong. The flow stuttered near its right shoulder. Wait, Oscar said, standing abruptly. Something's too late. The golem jerked. Sparks flew. The teapot slipped from its grasp, splashed downward. Isabel! Oscar shouted. He lunged forward as the tea poured over her head. For a terrifying moment, she didn't move. Oscar grabbed a cloth, hands shaking. Are you okay? The golem continued to spark, its shoulder twitching uncontrollably. Soaked and stunned, Isabel finally spoke. The right shoulder circuit. It's clogged. Oscar gently helped her wipe her face. She froze. How? Did you know the golem would malfunction? The mana flow? Oscar replied without thinking. It was unstable. Her eyes snapped to him. You can see it? He nodded. Yes, mana. In the air, everywhere. Silence fell. Mana was invisible to the naked eye. Isabel stared at him as realization dawned. So that's how you bypass my barrier. Oscar hesitated. Was this what that hooded mage meant? Talent for magic. The thought unsettled him. Isabel suddenly stood. I've changed my mind. I'll teach you, extending her hand. How to channel mana. But you said, she smiled faintly. Now I'm interested. Oscar grasped her hand without hesitation. You're mistaken, Isabel said later. Mana already exists within you. Then why doesn't it flow? Because mana moves only through magic formulas. She placed a magic paper before him. These are provided at the academy. Oscar's eyes sparkled. What kind of magic is it? She smirked. A surprise. If you succeed, she instructed him to feel inward, to visualize mana entering the formula. Internally, she expected failure. 1 month, at least, she thought. 2 weeks, if he's exceptional. Oscar sat down, closed his eyes, and focused. The sensation was familiar, like refining sword qi. He turned his consciousness inward. Darkness. Then light. His spiritual form emerged, standing confidently within the void. Reality trembled. The magic paper beneath his hand began to glow. Purple light surged. Oscar's eyes snapped open. Mana poured into the formula, violent. The spell erupted skyward like fireworks, illuminating the forest. Isabel stood frozen. He had succeeded. On his first attempt, that's impossible, she whispered. Higher-ranking mages learned faster, but this, she remembered the golem, the barrier, the flow. Understanding dawned. He wasn't merely talented. He was a genius. Oscar gazed at the glowing sky, awestruck. So this is real magic. Isabel rushed toward him, excitement breaking through her composure. I've never seen anyone activate a formula on their first try. It wasn't good enough, Oscar said calmly. She blinked. What? The flow was wrong, he said, kneeling. Like the golem, mana should be beautiful. His eyes sparkled. I don't just want to use magic. He clenched his fist. I want to create magic that is perfect. Isabel stared, then smiled, then rewrite it. Oscar's breath caught. You can do that? She nodded. Elsewhere, Oscar's father walked beneath towering pillars, expression unreadable. The apprentices trembled before him, confessing everything. After dismissing them, the swordmaster looked skyward. The time has come. In a vast library, Isabel offered Oscar her books. Take what you need. Moments later, she turned. You're taking all of them? You said I could. She sighed. Then Oscar grew serious. I need to warn you. I'm no longer just a swordsman. She stiffened. Then be careful. Sword aura and mana do not coexist. Far away, his father smiled. If Oscar awakened sword aura now, it would be fatal.